Hey everybody, BrickLover18 here today, and we are back with another episode of my Q&A show here on YouTube, Ask Brick. So normally in every video, I just answer a bunch of random questions that my viewers, you have left me down in the comments from previous videos or just across my channel in general. Today's video is going to be a continuation of the Working at the Lego Store series. So this is going to be part number 3. Part number 2 for this series came out a few months ago now, and the reason I waited so long is because I knew I'd get a lot more questions between those two parts that people want to know and maybe ask me to answer on camera here. So that's why I decided I would make part 3. Got lots of great questions for this week's episode. I don't think I'll need to do a part number 4, but we'll take a look and see how it goes with the timing. So let's just get right into it. Fox MacLeod asked, have you ever encountered any Karens who wanted to get a huge number of bricks for their children no matter whether they could afford it or not, or something similar? I wouldn't say that exact situation happened because, of course some things similar did. Like, it wasn't so much as I just want to get 1,000 pieces, like for $5. People would come in, and Karens definitely came in all the time. My store wasn't awful compared to some other employees that I know that work at other stores, but a couple times we had a few people come in and, just complain about the product. But for the most part, the Lego store is like one of the best stores to go to. Like, I would say the employees are so friendly, the product is so great, like, we're not trying to screw you over with sales or anything like that. So for the most part, when people come to the Lego store, they're happy and they want to be there. It's not like Walmart where they have to go buy their groceries or something like that. Like, it's here at the Lego store, they want to be here. Of course, we encountered a few Karens, like people complaining about the prices and stuff like that. They would be like, this small set is $30. That's ridiculous. Back in my day, it would have been $5. And it's like, you just go, okay, well, there's, a free gift with purchase or the VIP program or, something to try and, like, offset that angry. But, Karens are just a part of the job. But I would have to say that of every Karen I have 200 other customers who were perfectly fine and were not a Karen whatsoever. And I honestly, as I'm thinking of a few stories, like, I can only think of 1 or 2 Karens that really were just very, very annoying. For the most part, customers were great. Apprentice Builds asked, ask Brick, are the pieces to the sets in the glass displays glued together? And what themes sold the most poorly? So that's a 2-part question. So I'm going to answer the first part about the pieces in the sets. Are they glued together? Yes and no. So when you go around the store and if you saw, say, this set on display, built, or this set, or the treehouse, or like the Stranger Things sets, those sets aren't built. So any smaller set like that, or I guess any majority of the sets that we get a copy and we're instructed to build a copy. So that's why for the Stranger Things sets, I'm really proud of this. I built that set. I would say I was one of the first people in the world to build that set because I was able to build that before a majority of the world even knew about it. Because I finished building it the night it was actually released. So I would say that I'm proud to say that I was probably one of the first people in the world to build that. The first few hundred anyway, which is kind of cool. But no, when we build sets in the store, we would get like an extra copy, specifically told to build that set, put it on display. So we would get that set and we'd build it in the back room if it was a secret. If it wasn't a secret, we'd build it on the floor. We'd let kids help it and stuff like that. And no, we didn't glue those sets together. Like, they're, the pieces are just there, just like they normally would be. Just like you'd build it at home. Some of the bigger sets, however, like specifically the Star Destroyer and the Millennium Falcon, they, I know for a fact, are glued together because they were actually shipped to us pre-built from the factories, or I don't know where they come from, but they came pre-built because they would just take Lego employees way too long to build, in the back. Plus, we don't really have the space or anything for that. Like, it's just, that would be way too much. So they do come pre-built and they are glued, but no, the rest of the sets mostly aren't glued. He also asked what themes sold the most poorly. I would say the Unikitty theme was really poorly because when I started, those sets were on sale already, like the 20% off, and when I left, we still had a bunch of them on the shelves. I would say, honestly, the Lego Movie 2 sets, I don't know if they sold poorly, but they just did not sell nearly as much at my location as I think they thought they did. Our back room was full of Lego Movie 2 sets, but we never really got new shipments or anything of them except for like the newer waves and stuff. We just had so many of them. For the most part, I want to say the themes sell pretty well. They're such a different demographic that comes into the store that everybody's looking for different things. So all themes go pretty well. I would say Hidden Side, when I was working there when that set first came out, and I can't really recall what the demand was that like, but in my head I was like, this theme's just not going to sell. Like, Lego just, for whatever reason, they try and expand too diverse, I think. And like, this is off topic, but like, I'm not going to get into it, but the Lego Hidden Side sets I don't think sold particularly well. That was, again, I left the Lego store kind of just as those sets were coming out, but I mean, they're retiring now after just a year, so you can probably imagine what the sales like that were. But I would honestly have to say that most themes sold really well. We sold a huge variety of everything. It wasn't like, it wasn't like some themes were just awful. Like, they got rid of those ones. So I would say all the themes sold pretty well. Photos by Josh asked Brick, do you need any qualifications to work at the Lego store? Yes and no. So when I worked at the Lego store, I did tell them I had a YouTube channel. I did tell them I was passionate about Lego, but a lot of people at the Lego store had no idea about Lego. It is a store at the end of the day, so they're looking for really good people that are enthusiastic, have passion for what they do, have great customer service skills, and just want to, improve the day-to-day life of their customers. Because while it's really important to have that creativity and the passion for the brand, it is a store. If they can't sell things, the store is going to close. Like, they need to meet their targets, they need to meet their goals. So if you ever do have an interview for the Lego store, definitely tell them you're passionate about Lego, but go beyond that. If they say, why should I hire you? Well, I like Lego. Yeah, they don't care. They're not going to hire you. You have to be like, I like Lego and I'd be great for this role because I'm like passionate about sales. I've worked in, previous retail experiences before. I want to try new things. I want to make a difference. Like, stuff like that really, because you got to remember, end of the day, it's a store. So things like that will really enhance your resume, enhance your skills, will make them want to hire you. And of course, I just want to add that is my experience. I am no way part of the management of the company, nor do I know anything about their hiring practices. So take that with a grain of salt. But that's what I kind of got from when I worked there. Firebar Toes asked Brick, do you keep old, retired, and rare sets in the back? Yes and no. So we put sets on the shelves as we get them. Sometimes one time I was working there, we actually got like an old retired set that had been retired for like 3 years. Somebody came back and they wanted to return it. And I think they had their original receipts. So we don't normally do that, but we're like, hey, I think they just got like a store credit or something like that. So we let them. So in that case, we get this old retired set. We put it right out on the floor at the last price it sold for. We just put it in like the clearance bin on the clearance price. Of course, it sold right away. I bought it at the end of my shift. But yeah, so we do, don't really keep old, retired, and rare sets in the back. It's a store, it's not a museum. We're not looking to hoard things or anything like that. The only time where we ever have older retired sets in the back would be the display models. So of course, when a set retires and we're not going to sell, we don't have it anymore, we have a brick-built copy of it on the display case, we're going to take that to the back. It gets put into a box, sealed what it is, and put on the top shelf. And they eventually do things with that, at the store. I don't know if I'm really supposed to talk about it on camera, so I'm not going to bring that up, but they do different things with it. But for the most part, yeah, you can probably find a few rare and retired things in the back, but because it is a store and not a museum, most of the product gets pushed to the floor, and they're not looking to hoard anything or keep anything hidden in the back. BrickLover225 asked, did you have different hours at different times, or were your shifts the same time every day for the same amount every week? So that's a good question. No, it completely changed. So like some days I'd work closed, some days I'd work open, some days I'd work a mid shift. Like, it really just depended on my availability for the week as well as the availability of the other employees. There are some salaried positions like the store managers and like a team lead. So they work the same days pretty much every week, like the same shifts, which, makes sense. But as just a general associate in the store, a brick specialist, I just worked all over the place, no set hours or anything like that. It was just, it varied every week. Some weeks when they'd have like a big launch, we'd work more hours. Other weeks when there's nothing new coming out, we'd work less hours. It's honestly just like your typical retail store in that sense. Nothing But Brick asked, did you ever feel like you lost your passion for the hobby working there so much? That's a really good question, and it's complicated, that answer, but yes and no. So when I worked at the Lego store, I think when I used to buy a Lego set, it used to be really special. I wouldn't buy them that often, so I'd want it for a little while. I want it for a while. I'd wait till Christmas, and I'd really wait and not buy that set, not splurge. As soon as I started working at the Lego store with getting the discount and everything like that, I started buying a lot more Lego, like spending, a couple $100 some shifts, couple $1,000 other shifts, really stocking up on Lego. And then it got to the point where I had so much Lego here, I went from having like a tiny little backlog to having 3 bookcases full of unbuilt Lego sets. It almost got to the point where I was just kind of hoarding at that point, which I don't really want to get to. I don't think it impacted my hobby, but like I definitely, with so many sets, like I bought all the modular buildings that I had wanted in one day, just because, you know, that was like my treat to myself. I just went, as soon as you hit that 3 month and get bumped to the next tier at discount, I just bought all the different sets that I've been hoping for the last few months, and that was great. I, like, again, don't regret that I did that, but it just didn't allow me to, like, I just would build a modular building and then a few days later I'd build a modular again, and it just wasn't as special as when I'd only get like one modular a year and would have to build it and take my time and effort and stuff like that. Like I was just bam 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 building these sets like crazy, and like it was, you know, I was filming them too for YouTube, so like it just, I would only film when I would be here, like I'd only build when I'd here at the studio. I would never take things back to my apartment and build because I wanted it for YouTube. Working at the Lego store, I think it really enhanced my hobby almost as well, because like that was at the point where, you know, YouTube was getting rough for me because my views were declining. I didn't feel as engaged in the community, and working at the Lego store helped really re-engage myself with the YouTube community, not only, and like the AFOL community, not just the YouTube community. I had friends now that, you know, real life in-person friends that really like Lego, and I could chat about it with, I can text them about it. And then of course, like I would get to know things about like launches and stuff like that, which it was so easy because I'd come into work and it would be my job to go and look on the computer to see what new Lego sets are coming up soon. It would be my job to be informed about the new sets that are about to be released, or a new theme or something like that. Like it was, and that was fun for me because I wanted to know all that information. So I did like that part. That part enhanced my career, or not, that part did enhance the hobby, but then of course the other parts where I talked about like building just so much at home, you know, some days it was also hard because I'd work all day at Lego, but then the last thing I'd want to do would be come to my studio and do more Lego, because I'd want to, you know, go out and walk around or go visit friends and stuff like that. So it definitely had its perks, and it, you know, there was both definitely good sides and bad, but I haven't worked at Lego for almost a year now. You know, it's coming up in about a month or two. I haven't been there in a year, and you know, I still love the Lego hobby. I still want to talk about it, and if I could go back to the Lego store and work, I fully would. Like it was such a great job to have, and I miss it all the time. But it was definitely didn't, it definitely impacted the way I see my hobby, but it didn't destroy it for me, which I really do appreciate. This question might have also been from Nothing But Brick, but I don't have a name here. But this user asked, did trips to the Lego store for me were always special, and I've always feared if I worked there, it would slowly lose its appeal. That's actually not the case for me. The first few times for sure, when I would walk into that store, it would be like, wow. And then eventually, you know, it did turn into a job. But I think the people at the store really still inspire me to go. Like, I don't go to the Lego store nearly as much anymore, especially during these COVID times. But when I used to go to the Lego store after I stopped working there, I think I went back 2 or 3 times after. It was still, I was excited to get there. I would go and spend like 2 hours there, but part of the appeal was now I know the employees that are working. I get to talk to them, I get to interact, and that's really why I haven't gone during COVID, because it's not really fair to them. It's not a good situation. Like if I'm going to the Lego store, I don't want to just go in, get my set and leave. Like they're my friends, like they're people I like. I don't want to just kind of shrug on them like that. So I don't want to go to the Lego store during COVID because they obviously can't talk to me. I can't really talk to them, and it just would be like me going in and out. Wouldn't be nearly as fun. So if I think I had to go to the Lego store during this COVID times, I'd probably go to a different location where I don't know anybody working, just so I could get in and out and not feel bad, and not make them feel bad for not being able to talk, like stuff like that, because they got to keep the store moving. But I still, every time I get to go to Lego store, I still get super excited. Hopefully when this COVID thing's all done, I'll get to go again, because I seriously miss them. I miss going back to the store. Any chance I get to go to, I would definitely love to go to a Lego store, because part of the appeal of the Lego store for me was like the pick-a-brick wall, which is still going to be there even though I don't work there. And just, you know, seeing the people, meeting everybody, that appeal is still there for me. So, you know, it did eventually when I was working there. Like I didn't get as excited to go every day because like, wow, the Lego store. But now that I'm done, it's still very exciting to me. Mattzilla Gamer asked, as Brick, is the Brick Specialist the only position at the Lego store? So no, that's a great question. So my Lego store had a couple different positions. We had the general store manager, the assistant store manager. We had team leads, or supervisors is what we called them. We you know, it was a couple higher up Brick Specialists that really did a lot of the, you know, a lot of the day-to-day manager roles. They would help close the store. They were key holders and things like that. And then, of course, we had the Brick Specialist positions, which was where I was. I never made it up to any. I never really applied for any of those other positions. I didn't stay there long enough. But brick specialist was like the level I got to. We also had a couple different committees at the store, which honestly I can't recall the committee names right now. I wasn't there when they were chosen, and unfortunately I left about a month after that. I was on a few committees, but again, not really there long enough for anything to come of them. So the last question is actually from Oscar Madrill. How old were you when you worked at LEGO? So when I worked at LEGO, I was actually 19 years old. I started in April of 2019 and went until about September, October of 2019 as well. My birthday's in November, so I was just 19 that entire time I worked there. Alright, so I think that was a pretty great episode. I had lots of fun answering those questions. Thank you to everybody who asked a question. If you do have more questions about the LEGO store, I'll try to respond in the comments below, but of course, if there is an overwhelming, amount of questions about my time at the LEGO store, I would still be more than happy to answer them here on video. So again, thanks everybody so much for watching. I really hope you did enjoy. It's been so much fun going down memory lane and talking about my time at the LEGO store, because as I said, it is something that I really do miss. But it's been a really great time. These were fun answering all these questions, so definitely if you have any more, please leave them down in the comments below. And of course, if you just have any questions about, my channel, LEGO, YouTube, or anything at all, just in general, please leave them down in the comments below, because I will be back next week with your regular scheduled Ask Brick episodes. So thanks again for watching, and have a great day.